Talking to Angelica suffering. I don't think she's going to get it. She's going to get a T. Now here it comes, and she's going to get another T. She's gone.
Just when you think that the WNBA couldn't get any messier, Brittney Griner decides to turn a regular season game into a full-on WWE audition by going after the referee. Griner got so upset by a ref's call that she started threatening her and even shoved her mercilessly before getting ejected from the game. But let me tell you, this isn't surprising at all, because Brittney Griner has a bad habit of playing dirty and showcasing her anger issues on the court.
Ogunbowale, shot clock at 3, at 2, Turner reaching in, Alicia Gray from behind the line, and down it goes. And now we've got Brittney Griner going after Anigwe, and this could get ugly. Griner is being held back by numerous players and now trying to throw punches.
Make no mistake, this is textbook Griner. What you just saw was a notorious incident that occurred 5 years ago when Brittney Griner literally chased Christina Nigui down the court as if she were reenacting a scene from Fast and Furious WNBA edition. Security had to restrain her, multiple players were ejected, and it was pure chaos. It was just like an episode of Jerry Springer that broke out during a basketball game.
Sports reporters, well, Brittney Griner has lost her mind. Now, we've seen her have issues with WNBA refs this season, Lord knows. Brittney Griner lost her mind last night on a WNBA ref.
Let's break down what happened yesterday, because this gets really bad. The Atlanta Dream had a slim lead when a foul was called on Griner. But for some reason, this simple whistle flipped a switch in Griner's head. She didn't take a deep breath. She didn't walk it off. Oh no. She stormed up to the referee with all the grace of a raging bull in a china shop. And just like that, things got bad to worse.
Behavior, 6'9", muscular Brittney Griner, quite intimidating, especially to a normal size female referee. Got tossed out of the game for making contact with an official, which is an absolute no-no.
Griner literally kept charging at the referee, even with the coach at her side like some underpaid emotional support chaperone. She just couldn't let it go, and that's when it happened. She bumped the official and immediately got ejected. And don't even get me started on her track record this season. We're talking career lows. With barely over 5 rebounds and less than 24 minutes of court time, Griner's declining faster than a free trial subscription. And honestly, this is the kind of rash behavior you'd expect from a rookie with zero self-awareness, not a so-called veteran who's supposed to be setting the tone.
If Caitlin Clark did this, if Lexi Hall did this, if Sophie Cunningham did this, they would be suspended for the rest of the season. I mean, hell, Kathy Engelbert and her bunch might kick them completely out of the league.
If this had been Caitlin Clark, oh man, she would have been ejected, fined, suspended, and probably slapped with a psychological evaluation by now. If Sophie Cunningham even looked sideways at a ref, there'd be petitions floating around to exile her to the G League. But Brittney Griner, somehow, she always gets the soft glove treatment. A slap here, a slur there, and the league's response. Let's just talk about it after the game.
Where is the diva of dump divas? Where is the elegant and equally passionate Kat Engelbert? Imagine the irony. I guess the cat has the cat's tongue.
And that's what makes this whole Griner incident even more disgusting. The double standard is glaring. Brittney gets to shove referees, yell obscenities, and parade around like she owns the place. But when Clark gets roughed up every other night, nobody even blinks. If she so much as breathes too hard on someone, it's a foul. But Griner practically truck sticks a ref, and people are like, let's wait and see.
But never fear, Brittney Griner, you ain't got nothing to worry about. Brittney Griner does what we call checking them boxes. And Brittney is checking all the boxes. The woke trifecta.
The hypocrisy in how the WNBA handles Griner versus other players is staggering. If this had been Caitlin Clark or Sophie Cunningham making contact with an official, the league would have dropped the hammer immediately. Multi-game suspension, maximum fine, the whole 9 yards. When Sophie Cunningham dared to stand up for Clark against players who were clearly targeting her, the WNBA threw the book at her while turning a blind eye to the instigators.
JC Sheldon is guarding Caitlin, swipes her in the face. There's one. Going for the ball, swipes her in the eyeball. Caitlin's gonna have to start wearing goggles. And then Caitlin pushes her off of her, like, why are you still in my face? Marina Mabry, bat out of hell, chucks Caitlin Clark to the ground.
That's right, Caitlin got a technical foul for receiving an eye swipe and a chest bump. It was absolutely wild, even by the WNBA's standards. The league says, no space for hate. But when it comes to Caitlin Clark, it is suddenly open season for on-court violence, cheap shots, and eye poking. Do the officials not see their hypocrisy, or are they deliberately going blind?
She didn't get thrown out for this, but Sophie Cunningham got thrown out for what she did. Sophie Cunningham got thrown out for what she did.
Let's put it this way. When Sophie Cunningham tried to defend Caitlin Clark, she was fined 6 figures before her post-game protein shake. She faced media scrutiny for weeks.
Play because she was standing on business. It wasn't a dirty play. It was an intentional foul, and it was meant to send a message. It turned into a scuffle, and I don't think anybody wanted that. But the way that the game went and how egregious the referees were and how they were not protecting players, and they especially weren't protecting the #1 player in this league, the biggest draw in this league, which is Caitlin Clark, and they continue to not.
That's correct. But when it comes to Griner and the WNBA, it's just Brittney being Brittney, as if that's supposed to excuse repeated aggressive, borderline violent behavior. This double standard is poisoning the WNBA from the inside out. Clark gets mauled every game with no flagrant fouls called. Players who stand up for themselves or their teammates get punished. But Griner can literally assault officials and the league looks the other way. It's not just unfair, it's corruption in plain sight.
To say that people clowned Brittney Griner is the understatement of the century. I'm just going to read a few, but my goodness, what is going to happen here? Inquiring minds want to know, Kathy Engelbert.
Many people in the WNBA actually started petitions to get Sophie kicked out of the league for defending her teammate. But Griner, she gets to bump referees, start fights, and drop racial slurs with 0 consequences. The message is clear. If you're part of the WNBA's protected class, you can get away with anything. If you're not, you'd better keep your head down and take the abuse. Remember when Brittney Griner casually referred to Clark as an effing white girl? It was absolutely disgusting. Let's be real, if this were reversed, the WNBA would have suspended players indefinitely.
Reacted to this. Here's Brittney Griner. They're playing against the Indiana Fever, and look what she's saying. Go ahead, Rob.
For the ticky-tack fouls that we were talking about earlier today.
Well, that pretty much sounds like trash effing white girl.
Imagine if Caitlin Clark had called a black player a racial slur on live TV. Imagine if Paige Buchers had elbowed a black player in the face with no remorse. The media would riot, the outrage would be astronomical, and rightfully so. But when it's the other way around, when it's Brittney Griner, crickets.
Normally, all it takes is a false accusation, and the entirety of the WNBA is ready to combat mythical racism. They put down the miniature ball, they utilize their weapon of choice, social media, and they portray themselves as the ultimate victim. But over a week has passed since Brittney Griner appeared to say a racial slur towards Caitlin Clark, and for some reason, the WNBA is choosing to exercise their right to remain silent.
What's truly pathetic is how predictable this all is. The WNBA had a chance here to finally hold Griner accountable, to show that no player is above the rules. But they won't. They'll issue some weak statement about passion for the game or heat of the moment and move on, because at this point, it's obvious the league cares more about protecting certain players than maintaining any semblance of integrity or fair competition.
He needs to be thrown out of the league and sent back to Russia. Can we send him back? This is how a man behaves. Ooh. Needs to go back to Russian prison. You knew this was not going to be good.
Griner's track record of dirty play and emotional outbursts reads like a rap sheet. She chased down Christina Nigwe like a linebacker, triggering a full-blown brawl. She was arrested for domestic violence against her then-fiancé Glory Johnson. If that's not enough, she was even caught on camera muttering "effing white girl" about Caitlin Clark. This isn't just a bad game. This is who Brittney Griner is at her core, a player who resorts to cheap shots, physical intimidation, and racial animosity when she can't compete at the level she once could.
Bob was caught on video speaking blasphemous rhetoric towards the Great White Hope, but for some reason, Kat Engelbert is choosing to ignore it. Kat Engelbert can't find the interest to even launch an investigation.
But guess what? Fans are smarter than that. They're not falling for the league's favoritism or the double standards. They see who's playing dirty and who's playing ball. And on nights like this, when a player like Griner embarrasses herself and the league by going after a ref, you realize just how deep the dysfunction runs.
With the official, tell me this is not intimidating to the official. Brittney Griner, who has been in fights, who has chased other players down the court and thrown punches. Brittney Griner, who we saw earlier in the season, in the middle of an interview on TV, turned and went after an official at halftime, cursing them out.
That's right. Griner even manhandled the officials on live TV by abusing them with foul language. She abruptly stepped away from the mic and confronted the referees in front of the camera. While the full exchange wasn't captured, her words to the refs were crystal clear. Be effing better.
By Autumn Johnson.
BG, right now you have 10 points, 5 rebounds. We see the Atlanta Dream as being very... Right now she's talking to the refs about holding. We're going to send it back to you guys.
Very important questions.
While the cameras didn't catch the full exchange, what they did capture was damning enough. A 6'9" professional athlete physically towering over referees, cursing them out on live TV, then storming off like some spoiled child who didn't get her way. Imagine any other player in the league pulling this stunt. They'd be benched for weeks and fined into next season. But Griner, she'll probably get a pat on the back and a participation trophy from the league office.
Why has the WNBA chosen to ignore this clear violation from Brittney Griner? Maybe, just maybe, they're afraid of the backlash. Maybe they're afraid of the reaction from their players. Maybe they're afraid that Bob Griner will play the role of the ultimate victim and accuse the WNBA themselves of racism.
The hypocrisy is absolutely infuriating. This is the same league that suspended Sophie Cunningham just for standing up to players targeting Caitlin Clark. Yet when Griner commits actual verbal abuse against officials, crickets. It's beyond a double standard at this point. It's institutional corruption. The message couldn't be clearer. If you're part of the WNBA's protected inner circle, you can bully referees, assault opponents, and spew racial slurs with impunity. If not, well, good luck dodging their wrath.
And yet, yes, this is the same Brittney Griner who has multiple times now whined and bitched like the victim because feeling unsafe due to words. Unsafe because fans screamed, "Go back to Russia."
Once upon a time, Griner was seen as the face of women's basketball. She was dominant, unstoppable. But fast forward to today, and she's a shadow of her former self, more known for drama than dominance. And this latest fiasco, it's just another chapter in the spiraling saga of someone who's clearly lost the plot. Now she just resorts to cheap tactics like bullying and then playing the victim.
I want to see how he, in caps, does in the NBA with the rest of the men. Effing gross. Test him for steroids. Overly aggressive behavior is a sign. Oh.
The real victims here aren't just the officials Griner abused, it's every player who actually respects the game, every rookie who gets fined for minor infractions while veterans like Griner break every rule in the book, every fan who has to watch this type of toxic behavior get rewarded season after season. The WNBA wants to be taken seriously as a professional sports league, then start acting like one. Suspend Griner, fine her heavily, make an example out of her before this complete lack of accountability destroys whatever credibility the league has left.
Russia, These players in the WNBA are absolute clowns. They are unlikable. They cannot function in normal society. You wonder why they're so upset about having the eyeballs of millions of real sports fans on the league. This is yet another example. They cannot handle it. They have no idea how to deal with normal people.
The truth about Brittney Griner is finally out in the open for the entire sports world to see. She's nothing more than an entitled, emotionally stunted clown who can't function in normal society. Watch any of Griner's unhinged outbursts, from screaming at referees to dropping racial slurs about teammates, and ask yourself, would this behavior be tolerated in any other professional setting? Of course not. These are the actions of someone completely unequipped to handle basic human interactions, let alone the spotlight of professional sports.
Prone to violence? Because yes, Griner is, and I'm not even saying off the court in other situations, but I've seen it on the court multiple times. I've seen Brittney Griner pursue a player down the court.
The WNBA has created this monster by coddling and enabling this behavior for years. While other leagues bench players for far less, the WNBA has rewarded Griner's antics with all-star selections and marketing deals. Now they're reaping what they've sown, a league where the most visible players are also the most unlikable, unstable personalities in professional sports. And unless the WNBA wakes up and starts applying its rules equally, they're going to lose the very audience they worked so hard to build, because fans can tell the difference between an athlete and a liability. And Brittney Griner, right now, she's making it awfully easy to tell which one she is.